there were definitely like multiple times a week where I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? I have no idea. Going on my own path did cost me the disapproval of my family, and where they didn't support, and then there was a lot of doubt.
Meet Julia Gao Miller, a woman who's gone from coding through fighting Muay Thai in Thailand to building a six-figure content agency entirely from her phone. But this is more than a story about a career shift. It's a conversation about what it really costs to choose yourself. We talk about navigating family disapproval, mental health struggles behind success, and the quiet battles women fight with identity, binge eating, and burnout. In this episode, Julia opens up about her breakdowns, therapy, healing through self-compassion, and how she's still reinventing herself every day. Tune in and subscribe for more content like this.
And then almost like the self-sabotager in me would be like, let's prove that you're right, that you're not good enough.
Hey guys, short video disclaimer. This is the first episode of Not Just His Plus One podcast. And as you know, something needed to go wrong. So the camera that was recording Julia for the first 40 minutes didn't work. And we realized that at a later stage, but our conversation was so awesome that I still wanted to share it with you. So you're gonna have a first 40 minutes of maybe not seeing her, seeing more of me. And then you're gonna have a full footage of how the rest of the conversation went. So enjoy that, and thank you for staying with us. So you had the chance to, or you had the offer to begin as a software developer in a very prestigious company, or the option to go to Thailand.
Yeah.
So you decided to not listen to your family, because I assume they were leaning towards you staying or getting this perfect job on paper. And instead you decided to go to Thailand.
Yeah, actually at that point, I was already a little bit of a black sheep of the family, because by the time I was a software developer, I was the only one in my family that I dropped out of university. It's like most people are like, I'm the first one to go into university. I was like, yeah, I was the first one to drop out. Like just in one step, I became the black sheep of the family. Oh, wow. And I remember like when I first dropped out, like my whole family was, they're like, oh, okay, I guess you can always go to community college. And then that was like the only outlet that they saw for me. And I remember I did try, because I was just like, oh, I guess I have to go to community college now. And I did try, and I was just like, this is so boring. I'm so bored out of my mind. And it's like, I don't see like this being helpful, like sitting in class. And so, yeah, by the time I was a software developer, they were already kind of just like, what the fuck is she doing? I mentored underneath another software developer, learned. But then like, again, my family doesn't know anything about coding, so they have no idea what I'm doing. But at that time that was like my early 20s, I had gotten in my head, I was just like, oh, I really want to join. I forgot the name of the company, but it just looked really cool. They had a really cool website, and I was just like, oh, it'd be really cool to be a software developer for this company. It's like very well rated. It's like, according to like the internet polls, it's like a very good workplace to work. And so what I was doing at that point was I was creating a lot of content around coding. And this was a software company that was in my city. And so eventually what happened, I think I'd been like, again, like creating tons of content around coding, with someone in that company found my profile and was like, hey, I work at this company. And it was like my dream company. Is like, do you want to like come and take a tour and take a visit? We do have a position open for you, like a position open. And I remember I like applied for the position, and it turned out they told me I was overqualified for it. Yeah, it was like my coding skills at that point from, mentoring underneath the other software developer had gone past, because that was an entry level position. So I wasn't like super good, but I was better than entry level. Yeah. And I remember like going into the office, and, this was supposed to be like my dream job. And I was just seeing everyone like sitting at their desk. And again, it's not to like throw shade on
for sure,
people who work there. But I was just like, for me, the idea of like getting up every single day and going to a dedicated desk that I have to go to for certain hours, like I have to go there from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. Every single day, that just sounded so entrapping. Like And that's when I was just like, oh, do I really? Because at that point, it's like, okay, if you get hired by the company, then you're dedicating yourself to it. You want to work there, for however many years. And I remember looking at it and being like, is that really what I want to do? Is that my highest aspiration is to just go sit at the same desk for the next 2 to 5 years? So I think at that point was when I read like Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week. I started consuming a lot of podcasts around entrepreneurship. Then I learned of the term digital nomad, people who, could work from anywhere. And from at that point, that jump from like working at a desk, working wherever I want. So I was just like, that sounds genius. That sounds like the perfect. For you? Well, then that became the new dream in a way. So did that answer your question?
No, for sure. Even more than that. So when did you and how did you decide to just leave the dream job or not?
Oh, I didn't even apply for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you have, when you say to your family and your parents, no, I can't do this, I am going to pursue this life that you're probably not going to understand, what was the reaction you got from them?
So what's interesting is like for me specifically, at that time, my relationship with my family was already a little bit on the rocks because when I was 17, like my father and my mother had divorced.
Okay.
And that caused it was like me growing up, it was kind of just a nuclear family. It was like my father, my mother, and I. So it was just, so all of a sudden that kind of like triangle was just like exploded in a way. And so yeah, for me personally, it was already kind of a difficult time because our relationships were already quite tense. And in the US, there is this concept is that once you're 18, you're an adult and you should automatically know how to take care of yourself. You should, pay for your own apartment and you're on your own. And that's like a jump from just, living at home.
Yeah.
So I think it's like I felt also this massive pressure. I was just like, I'm 18 now. I'm on my own. Like my father had gone with a new partner. My mother had remarried at that point. And so I felt very much on my own and a little bit like I don't have a family anymore. That was the story that I told myself in a way because I felt like there's no home to go back to because my home is I was just, like, oh, they have their people now. And I was just like, I'm an adult and I would be, and again, it was just all the internal stories that I told myself I was just like, I would be like a bum to go back to them. So I had a lot of like pride and fear in a way.
Do you think you moved to Thailand out of fear or out of desire for more?
It was both. It wasn't fear, but I like in retrospect, it was also running away. I was running away. And a huge part of my life, since the divorce was kind of just running away from pain and hoping for a better life when in reality, it was like internal pain that I didn't face and just hoping that a different environment would help feel the pain that I felt inside. That being said, it did help to change environments, but it also thinking that all the solutions were outside was, not the whole, it wasn't going to solve the entire issue. So yeah, going to Thailand in part, it was running away and is also running towards. I had this idealized idea of a new lifestyle that I wanted to pursue. Yeah. And it was also like this desire to prove myself to my family.
That you're good enough?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, this all has to do with internal stories. So the moment that, when my parents divorced, when I dropped out of university, it's like all these subconscious beliefs was just like, oh, I'm not good enough. When you say it out loud, it sounds silly, but it's like when your parents divorced thinking, oh, I failed, even though everyone was like, oh, it has nothing to do with you, but you feel like, oh, okay, if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't have split up. Like for me, the story that I told myself was like, originally I was supposed to go to boarding school, but I got rejected from all the boarding schools. So then my mother eventually like came with me to the States, and I was like, if I had not got rejected from the boarding schools, then they would still be together. And it's like, it's my fault that she's like coming to the States. So yeah.
Did you ever talk about it with her though? Did you ever mention
Yeah.
that the way you felt towards the
Yeah, this is all
situation?
years
Yeah.
later. Yeah, I mean, I think it was like specifically in the past year and a half that my mother, even with my father as well, like we've had some just like deep, painful conversations where it's not at all blaming. It's about kind of like sharing our perspective and how we saw, or like how I saw reality, how she saw reality.
Yeah.
And now it's like, what I realize is like, what I interpreted as what has happened was more so just like, again, the story that I was telling
Your own
myself.
perspective. Well,
Yeah.
you were just a child, so that's the best you knew, right?
Yeah. You're like, you only know what you know at
That's
a
it.
specific age, and you just learn through experience. And yeah, and I still have so much more to learn. But yeah, when it comes to realizing what drove me for a good portion of my life, it was partially chasing an idealized version of a life, but also running away too.
Did you manage to bring the person you ran away from in the States also to Thailand?
Yes.
For how long did she stay with you then?
Oh. Yeah, it wasn't until last year. I think I told you off camera I had a massive mental breakdown. Where I started going to therapy, and then that was when I think it's like up until then, up until my mental breakdown, that it's kind of like if you go into the vocabulary of therapy, like is the shadow self, and as long as you're rejecting a certain part of you, then that person will kind of like actually take over your life. So for me, like the shadow self kind of personified through, it was like a self-destructive version of myself that would get massively depressed, and so then I wouldn't leave my room. I would take a lot of like junk food from like the grocery store and convenience store, and I would just hide. And
Were you eating your emotions, or what was
Yes.
going on for you?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I would just, I think I put a lot of massive internal pressure on myself. And
Being
there's,
good enough? Probably?
yeah, and it was constantly just being like, oh, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. And then almost like the self-sabotager in me
Yeah.
would be like, let's prove that you're right, that you're not good enough. And like, let's engage in behaviors that make you feel more shame. So this constant cycle of like fighting myself just followed for, years and years. I would, when I first moved to Thailand, actually, like once a week, I would get massively depressed, and I would just hide in my room and not come out. And yeah, and that had nothing to do with, like, nothing outside would have fixed that. It's like I was supposed to go to therapy to fix that. But at that point, I didn't believe in therapy.
So this journey has been going for you for many years now, right? It's not like it's been a year or two. You've been through fighting. You started Muay Thai,
Muay Thai,
Muay
yeah.
Thai, when you moved to Thailand in your 20s, right? So how did you manage to kind of live these, I would say, two types personalities? Because you need to be super brave to show up in the ring and fight against other women. At the same time, hide yourself in your room for probably weeks because you were not being able to process what was going on internally for you. So how did you manage for so many years to have these, I would say, even two personalities?
Yeah. Interesting. I think the it's two sides of the same coin. I think the person that was always striving, that wanted to make something of myself, was also, because when you look at your own motivations, people can be fueled by negative motivation, or they can be fueled by positive, or they can be fueled by a mixture. And so I think for me, it's like the fuel that drove me to like try to be the best at like whatever I did, and was also the part that, it was the voice that was like, not good enough, not good enough. So jumping into the ring, training, when I look back, so much of it was fueled by this feeling of like
Not
like
being good
yeah
enough.
like I have
Wow.
to prove myself, I have to like, I have to be like good at this, good at that. So in a way, it wasn't like, oh, how did I manage to accomplish all of that in spite? It was like actually that dark energy fueled me. But again, I don't want to make it all dark. Like there was also so much, like the positive side of it was like the joy of training, being part of, other community, working hard together. There was so much positive energy, but I think like these days it's whenever I approach something, now that I'm more aware of this, it's like I want to be, when I engage in a project, I want to come up from a healthier place and be less fueled by like the unhealthy desires of not feeling good enough. But it's like it's a constant work in process.
And what I find impressive is that throughout the journey you've been through, you managed to build 300,000 plus followers, women, I don't know, on Instagram, following your journey and supporting you through. And you've been, even though what you've been going through, you've been inspiring them to take on their own journey. So how did you manage to do that?
I honestly think that it's the times when you are vulnerable also, and then when you share like the real aspect, the times that my content have really resonated with people, it's when I've shown courage in a way. Like one of my reels that's gone viral, it's like me getting ready for a fight. And the thing is, in that reel, it's like there's no clips, there's no cuts or anything, but you can see, so I get really nervous before the fights. It's actually stage fright. I just almost pass out. I just get so freaked. You saw when I went on stage.
I did. So, which impresses me even more about your personality, because I literally watched you fight, right? And I'm like, the person who I know is such a sweetheart, and they're like, so they have this beautiful personality about themselves, and they're so like, I would say even shy and like, oh, it's gonna go. And then I see her at the ring fighting. I'm like, is this even the same person?
Yeah. But the thing that's so cool is if you actually dive into like the Muay Thai world in a way, a lot of the majority of the best female fighters are just have a similar personality than me.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Well, not all of them, but it's just like most of them are very, very humble. Like the majority, because by the time you get to like a championship stage, you have hurt so much. Like Muay Thai is like a sport where there is a lot of pain involved. And so the pain kind of like humbles you down. But yeah, when you ask about like how I've developed an audience, I could talk about all the different little strategies, but I think at the end of the day, what draws people to me is that I will show up, but I will also show up imperfectly, like terrified,
as yourself,
unsure. Yeah. And I think that is like what connects people, because they see the humanity in a way. When you think about like the creators that you bond with, it's oftentimes like it's the moments that are unscripted in between where it's like they're showing a little bit of their inherent personality, and you're just like, okay, I resonate with that person. That it's like, that's so human. That's something that I would do also.
Yeah, we're tired of perfect stuff. We want just real humans, right?
Yeah. Just observe like what you gravitate towards. It is not like the polished version. It's maybe the polished person who at one point like slips and is like, oh fuck, like,
and then you're like, I'll follow them because they're funny.
Yeah. But
how did you, or when did you, I'm gonna say it again so we can cut it. When did you realize you can be making money out of your social media?
So when I first started creating content on Instagram, the purpose was so that I could make money. And I think that's how I approached it. I actually never approached social media from the standpoint of being an influencer. Like when I first got started, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to brand myself as a freelance developer or freelance coder. And then I'm going to use Instagram to get clients. So yeah, just from the get-go, I was just like, I will use Instagram as a form of personal branding to get me clients for whatever like service that I'm offering. And maybe that's the difference from some people like going online wanting to make money as an influencer.
Without a clear goal maybe as well at the end of it. Just post some content and hope that something's gonna happen out of it.
Yeah, and again, maybe it would be good for you to interview an influencer who has had successful brand deals and to see the behind the scenes of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I think for me, and having worked with brands also, like working with brands is work as well, and at the end of the day, it is labor. So I think it's, from my personal experience, I was just, and again, this is all like step by step, like, okay, I want to be a digital nomad. That's awesome. Okay, now I can work from anywhere. Okay, I don't want to work on my laptop anymore. Now I just want to work from my phone. How can I create a business where I work just from my phone? Okay, I don't want to do coding anymore. Like, my back is hurting, my eyes are hurting. Like, I just have to have, like, coding from a laptop screen is kind of hard. I was just like, I wish I had two screens. And so then I was just like, social media management, I can just do from my phone. And the next step is like, I don't want to work anymore. Okay, well then how do I not work anymore? Okay, like hire a team to like do the work for you. Da, 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 da. So everything is quite sequential. It's like once you achieve one goal, you're just like, but can it be better?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
and like for me, like now my goal is like, well, I kind of just don't want to look at screens at all. Like, how do I manifest that life? And I was like, delegate everything.
Love that.
Yeah, I forgot where we were coming from that.
So how did you manage to transition from the freelance coding, then through the content creation, to having your own agency now?
Yeah, well, when you look back on it, it's actually very sequential. So when I went to Thailand, my original dream was I was like, okay, coders earn a lot of money. This is genius. I'm going to have a very like high earning skill. I'm going to be so rich. Yeah. But then one problem was like at that point, I think I was just probably like 3 years into coding, having not like started from scratch, not knowing any. So whereas I think like some developers, they have freelance coding jobs, but they started when they were 15. So they have like 7 years under the belt, or they're working with a company and then, and so like they're learning through the company. And one thing that I quickly realized was that I moved too fast to Thailand. At that point, my coding skills were not good enough. And the only way that I could improve was actually being part of a company and having senior software developers to kind of like show the frameworks. Like for me to like build things at that point, I was a front end developer. And so it was pure software. So, it like any person on the street wouldn't actually benefit from my skill set, because usually the people like in day to day with business owners, they want a website. To code a website with raw code is very, very, it's like, not beneficial for the business for multiple reasons. I won't go into that. So at that point, like when I found myself in Thailand, I was like, actually, fuck, like the only way that I can get a job is if I try to get hired by a software company. And the time zones with the US and Thailand are horrible. I'd have to be, and if it was like a 9 to 5, I'd be up all night, every single night. And so that's when I started to realize, and then people were like, oh, you're a coder, can you build me a website? And I realized I was just like, shit, actually like building a website, for people might be more beneficial.
For direct clients, you mean?
Yeah, for direct clients where I can like take over the creative process. But also something that people started asking me for was they're like, oh, you're really good with content. Can you help me with my social media for my business? And then so I started taking on jobs for that. And then very quickly I was just like, I only have to do this from my phone. Like I film it from my phone. I edit it from my phone. I post it from my phone. I don't even need my laptop. And so as I was getting more and more work for content creation, I was just like, this kind of life is better. I can go anywhere and I can just like work from my phone. I don't have to bring my massive laptop with me. And at that point, because I was still like trying to learn coding, I was just getting all kinds of back issues because I was just constantly like hunched over the laptop. And when you go to different cafes, like the tables are not always ergonomic. So it's like sometimes they're like too low. So you're just really hunching.
I know that very well. So.
Yeah. And I actually went through a period where I wore a back brace for 2 years.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And it actually made my posture worse because I was just relying on the back brace. Yeah. And
So you
so
didn't want to hold yourself up. You were
well,
relying on
I
it.
thought that's what helped. I thought it was helping me, but in reality, a back brace makes you not rely on your muscles, and so like the muscles that are that are supposed to be holding your back, they become even
yeah,
more like weaker.
weaker.
And
Yeah.
so like I was starting to, and because I don't know for you, but for me, if I'm stressed, my neck and my back will tense up.
I have
So
it in my shoulders.
yes, 100%. So then it's like if you're stressed and you already have like back issues from working on the laptop, it would almost like that would compound with like the stress. So then almost a physical sensation of tightness would cause me to have a panic attack.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, it got so bad. I actually sought help because it's like if I took off my back brace and I got stressed, then my back would clench up, and then
Wow.
that would reinforce the feeling of stress.
Oh wow.
And so the solution that once I talked to some personal trainers, they're like, you need to get rid of that back brace. That back brace is actually what's contributing to like your back issues.
What helped you to come or to become the version of today that is healthy, balanced, in a beautiful relationship with a beautiful human being? How do you deal with what's going on internally with you, and how do you show up today?
Well, I also want to like preface that even like today, I think it's the same with everybody. It's like don't have everything figured out. It was just so funny because literally just yesterday evening, I was having a bit of like a funk because sometimes I still have these bad habits. I think everyone does at the end of the day, but
And I
like
think we need them, to be honest. We can't be just this bundle of perfect, awesome habits.
I
And this
actually I'm so perfect and
doesn't exist, not possible.
it's just like that viral reel of the entrepreneur who wakes up at 4 in the
Oh, I
morning and
love
puts
it.
like the ices. Like, this is how
I
my
love
day
it.
goes.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
but it's so funny because like for me oftentimes before I do something that is outside of my comfort zone, I do feel massive imposter syndrome. And it was just funny because yesterday evening I was just like, who am I to go talk and, talk about being a powerful woman when I don't feel powerful at all. And then for me yesterday, I like spent like 3 hours like doom scrolling. And it is this bad habit that I have. Sometimes when again, I have to catch myself because it's easy for you to fall back into like what you normally do. And I have this habit of just kind of being in push mode, just like, okay, execute, execute, execute. And by the end of the day, I feel a little bit drained. And then as a reaction to that, I'm just like, okay, I deserve to just numb out. And I'm just going to like turn on this like peaceful like YouTube video and then kind of relax. But then what ends up happening is that for some reason I won't stop. I'll just keep on going until I've made myself miserable. Where it's
Okay.
like the social media isn't even like giving you joy. You're just like flicking through it.
So
And
you want to reward yourself, but then you go for so long that it turns again into the punishment.
yeah, and in a way it's like if I and again I think it has to start with awareness because like before I had this issue and it was specifically with binge eating. So I'd be like, oh, like I've had a hard day, I'm gonna reward myself with, like a chocolate bar or something. But then it would escalate and I'd just be like, I can't stop. I just want to like keep on eating more and more. I'm gonna eat until this was like years ago, but I had this issue where I would eat until I made myself sick. And now it's not because it's not a case about resisting. Is like now it doesn't even occur to me to do that in a way. But it comes, but I think it has to like, I think like healing like issues like that also, it doesn't have to necessarily do with the behavior. It has to do with what are you trying to numb out in a way and identifying like what pain are you trying to suppress with this like palliative, way of feeling better that it ultimately is negative for you.
I don't want to go that deep on binge eating, but I also have struggled with that. And it's when I saw that you were talking about it, I was like, oh, okay, I really want to talk to you about it as well. So I've been on and off of, as you say, I would reward myself, but then this reward would end up in overeating and feeling stuffed and full, and then you would regret because you think, what did I just do to myself? Like, I don't even need that. Is there a particular practice maybe for me and for the listeners that helped you get out of this I would call it bad habit.
Yeah. So these days, what is helping a lot with that is that I prioritize protein first. So it's almost because here's the thing. If you force yourself, for example, to eat like 250 to 500 grams of chicken breast, you cannot binge on that. Like, no matter how much, like, even 2 days of like, you're like, you must binge this chicken breast. You'd be like, I cannot, I hate this, I will not. And so something that I will often do is, and again, it's not like, this isn't something that I've discovered. It's just like a lot of personal trainers would recommend. They're like, don't restrict, instead prioritize protein. At the beginning of the day, try to get as much protein as possible. And that will actually satiate you. And what I've noticed is when I eat carbohydrates and specifically starch, then it actually keeps me hungry. So then in an hour, I'll be hungry again. And then I'll want to eat more. And then I just feel like I'm just like this never ending hole. Yeah. So I think that is like the biggest thing for me is, again, not practicing restriction, but being like, get your protein, get your, and not like protein bars, not like protein shakes. I mean, specifically nutritious like whole foods. Yeah. And that has helped a lot. Eggs, chicken breast, chicken thigh, stuff that if you eat a lot of, you'll just literally feel stuffed. And you'll be like, I don't want to eat anymore.
Short break. If you enjoyed this conversation, please make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. It means the world to me, and it keeps me motivated to keep on showing up and bringing these beautiful ladies on board. Now back to the episode. No, I fully know what you mean, and I've been also into glucose and all these things, what's going on in our bodies when we eat particular stuff, but I really don't want to go in that conversation because I'm literally addicted about all that. How to
you're like, we can go down a rabbit hole.
We can. I'm so obsessed with the whole topic of how, when you should eat what, and
I love that. You should make that a whole like topic at some point.
For sure, I will, because I think it can be life-changing. Maybe an advice, a book advice, if you like reading books. Have you heard of the Glucose Revolution?
I have read that. Yeah, I did. I like took it was so fascinating. So she recommended like, I think, eating vegetables first.
Veggies first, protein, fats.
And then that controls like the lining of your gut.
I love it. I mean, I've never had like an extreme unhealthy diet, but this book particularly fully changed the way we eat. Me and my partner, how we cook, how we eat, and then now I don't feel guilty when I have a dessert, for example, because I know what's going on in my body, and I think that's what helped to also escape a bit from this binge eating cycle, because now I eat to be healthy and to be full and like keep on this body running, and not because I want to punish myself or reward myself. And as you said, when you eat the right things and enough of them, you have no space to be stuffing yourself with
you have
the
no
bad
desire
things.
either like it's been so long, because like I've been prioritizing whole foods that I don't even have that urge to binge. Whereas I think that urge to binge is also it's also created by the diet that you have. So if you're having like, lots of sugar, lots of things that carbs, are like in wrappers and stuff, then for sure your gut will literally change and like provoke you to want to binge more.
Love it.
We'll put a pin in that.
Exactly. That was a bit of a side topic. I would really love to go back to a bit of the fighting as well, in terms of who do you need to be to show up every time and know that you might get kicked, like kicked ass, and that you might get hurt. And how do you, like, what characteristics do you need to build?
I love this question.
To become the person to go in the ring and know that they might get hurt.
Ooh, I love this question so much. Okay, so for me, it's not so much what characteristics. There's actually this really excellent book that was written by, it's an elite CrossFit coach, but all of the principles that he recommends is I think it's called Chasing Excellence by Ben Bergeron or something, but I resonate with this so much. To be the type of person to step into the ring, how you perform, because the thing is, like, anyone can step in the ring, and this is what's fun when you watch fights, for example, in Thailand, where it's just so easy. It's like you can just raise your hand and be like, I want to fight, and then people are like, okay, sure. But then the issue is some people come unprepared and some people come very prepared, and what differentiates those people is actually the work that you put in beforehand. So how you show up in your training is how you're going to show up in the ring. So for example, with every training session, if you're fully focused, you're fully dedicated, you're just like, I'm here and I'm here to show up 100%. That will show when you step into the ring. So for me, I think personally, I have performed pretty well in the ring, not because of any character trait, but because of, or like actually like how well I prepared beforehand. If I haven't prepared beforehand, then it will show in my training when I fight. I won't have the cardio because I haven't been building up my cardio. I'll get hurt more easily because I haven't built up the muscle and the resistance. And so I think this carries over so well into like other areas of life where it's like when it comes to the big day, the preparation that you did and how much you dedicated yourself and was fully present in your in your preparation will show up on the day of. It's this often used quote that you hear all the time where it's like, I forgot the quote. Damn it! It's like paraphrasing. You're like paraphrasing. Now I'm gonna like butcher it, but it's like your training will show in your fight. It's the hours that you put in beforehand, and then on the day of the fight, you just let go because you're just like, I put in all the work. So now it's like I don't even have to think. I just let go and let God. Yeah.
And do you apply what you've learned through fighting in your business life?
Yes.
And how do you do that?
100%. I think because I was so involved in the martial arts world, I love constantly making analogies between like the like stepping in the ring and business but I think like one like realization that I had with training that I like brought to my friends who were also training was I was just like, it's so important to enjoy the process because I remember like so many people, they're like suffering through the whole process and there's just so much suffering involved, and with business you often have that association as well. You just like grind it out, but the thing is like if you fall in love with the process, then you can't lose in a way, because whether you win or lose, it doesn't matter because you're just like, oh, I love training. And then but then also that means like you have to structure training in a way that you enjoy it. But it's the same with your work as well. If you hate everything that you do with your work, it will be like a struggle. But the moment that you fall in love with the process, and you have to set that intention and then design your workflow in a way that it's enjoyable for you, and then also like delegate the things that you don't like and always like try to figure out ways that energize you, then you can't lose because you've enjoyed the process. So even if like the success doesn't come, you're not working for the success, you're enjoying doing it.
I love that.
I love that too.
I love that. It's so good.
Yeah, and I try that with everything that I do because even day to day, sometimes I'll end the day and I'll be like, I feel wiped, I feel drained. And I'm just like, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't want to end the day drained every single day. So what was it that drained me, and how can I set the intention of having a day that is fully energized? And then that's still like a work in progress. Like for me, like one thing that I figured out that works for me is like sometimes we have like coaching calls or calls with clients. I will take them on my AirPods and I'll walk constantly. So I'll walk around our villa or I'll walk on a treadmill, and then that keeps me energized. Where I've noticed that if I'm just taking a call, I'm sitting, after like the 45-minute call, I'm just like, I just feel tired. Yeah, like my body has been in one position. Yeah. So it's just like small adjustments, and how can you end the day with energy?
Love that.
As opposed to drained. Good. Yeah.
Does it work for now? Have you managed the way? I know that you want to scale, so this is going to be also another challenge you're going to go ahead. But have you managed or found the way how you don't feel drained, at the same time you love still what you do and you want to get it even bigger and better?
Yeah. Well, so far what's working for me, because I think the issues with oftentimes like individuals who are builders is it's not that we're lazy. It's that, well, for me, like my own issues, like I will self-sabotage. So I'll be like, I'll work very hard and then I'll self-sabotage and like spend 3 hours scrolling, which is something that I want to like fix. But another thing is like we will spend too much energy in the wrong area. So we'll be hard workers, but we're just putting too much energy in a place that is not actually, it's busy work. So something that has worked, that recently is working really well for me, is actually slowing down and staying away from devices. I will only use a device if I have a specific task that needs to be done. And I'm like, okay, this time block is for this specific task. It needs the screen. But apart from that, I do everything on my journal.
Okay,
And I handwrite
beautiful.
it because there's no distraction. And then also, like, it sounds really silly, but it's been working so
No
far.
judgment here.
But again, this is like in therapy, there is this concept of like having different parts in your, like, parts therapy, where it's like you will create different characters in your head. And if you've heard of Inside Out, the Pixar movie,
Yeah, of
there's like
course.
the angry one,
Yeah,
the jealous
yeah,
one.
yeah.
And so I was just like,
all the
but I kind of love that, because in a way, when you personify them, then you're just like, okay, these are different individuals and you love all of them equally. But you don't embody. It's almost like a concept. If you look at Inside Out, it's a person who goes to the steering wheel and it's like, I'm controlling the human now. So then, like, something that I've enjoyed doing is I'll create two characters. I call it the lower self and the higher self. So the energy of the lower self is the one who is scared, who's neurotic, who's self-critical, who's like, freaking out and just like not happy, or just like, I'm not happy. We're like, what's wrong with me? Da, da, da. And then the higher self is it's like a peaceful, benevolent energy that I like to equivalent, like, to make like a benevolent parent in a way, like kind of like a mother energy, where you oftentimes you imagine like you're a mom and then you have, your daughter or your son like freaking out and getting all angsty, or like a little sister, and you're just like, it's okay. Yeah, and it's okay to feel this, and you have so much compassion. So then I would like to create these little like personified versions, and then I have like the lower self in a way just write out all my angst and being just like, oh, like, why do I have all this? You're so ungrateful, like, blah, blah. And then I kind of like almost ask the higher self for advice, be like, what, or be like, oh, what should I prioritize today? What should I do? And almost every time that I've done this exercise on the journal, where I kind of personify the two personality types, I end up doing the right thing, which is it sounds so weird, but it's just like, for example, I will make a decision and more doors will open for me, and it's all just intuition based, or it's like positive things come out of that decision. But if I don't take that pause to be like, what is intuitively the right next step, then I'll go into reaction mode. And reaction mode is like, ooh, like I really feel like eating all this like Greek yogurt with like, granola.
So pretty much not processing it, just stuffing it somewhere there.
Yeah, reaction mode is more just like what will feel good right now to ease the sense of anxiety or discomfort. So that's something that has been working really well.
That's such a great advice.
I like it. I'm enjoying it. But the thing is, like, so something that I noticed, for example, yesterday when I started doom scrolling, I was in reactive mode. I was just like, I feel tired. I feel drained. I don't like talking to my journal, but like, let me just like watch something to, as a reward. And this concept of reward, I'm noticing, is not actually beneficial.
Well, because we use it as distractions.
Yeah. And you're numbing something. You're unhappy about something. And instead of addressing what you're kind of like not feeling great about, you're just like, I'm just
gonna cover it.
Yeah, put concrete over it. Yeah, put a rug over it.
Yeah, and especially when you have social media that hits you constantly with whatever dopamine going on.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, great, now I'm gonna be obsessed over their drama or whatever's going on for them.
100%.
And not deal with my own stuff.
Yes, 100%. That's exactly it. You start like peeking at like whatever, like for me it's like I'm looking at celebrity gossip and being like, oh, what's going on with them? Let me go on like 3 hours like studying like someone else's life.
I do think though, I do think we need that as well. I do think that if you're constantly like this, oh, I'm gonna be constantly educating myself or reflecting on myself or on the processing whatever, we're gonna go
perfect here.
Exactly, we're gonna go crazy. So I do think that we do need healthy amounts of whatever entertainment it is.
100%.
Until it gets unhealthy.
Yeah, but then that's the thing. I think like there's such a good analogy with food, for example. Like if you are the woman who's like, I never eat sugar, I never have dessert, I only eat like super clean 100. Like maybe for some people it works, but like for me, I feel like that feels restrictive and being like, yeah, but I want to have a healthy relationship. Like I can have a cake now and then. And, you know, if I'm at a birthday party, like I enjoy it, but then I'm not going to go home and then like eat a whole entire cake to myself, like in my room by myself. And I think it's like the same with social media. It's like, oh, okay, you can like look at this little gossip thing. But for me personally, doom scrolling, like that is something that I kind of, it's the same with like healing the relationship with food. I think I need to heal my relationship with media as well. And that's the current, I think that's like the current thing that I'm figuring how to address.
Do you just end up scrolling through, I mean, because you have a huge following, right? So do you also
I'm never on Instagram.
Yeah, no?
No,
so
because...
how do you keep a healthy relationship there? I'm also curious because you constantly put content out there. So you probably wonder, oh, is it performing well? How do you handle that?
So when I have the healthiest relationship with social media, I will put my heart into content that I enjoy. And I'm just like, I was like, if no one likes this, I liked it. I like the process of creating it with my team. These days, it's oftentimes a combination with me and my team. And I'm just going to put it out into the universe. And again, I have this kind of like pessimistic view where I'm just like, oh, it's probably going to flop. Yeah. Like, yeah. Like that was literally, I like published something that I felt yesterday where I felt very happy about. And I was like enjoying editing it. And I was just like, oh, this is probably going to get 100 likes. Like Instagram is going to just, suffocate it. And it ended up performing really well. But when I have the healthiest relationship with social media is when I publish and I don't look at it after that. I'm just like, I put my heart into the creation process.
Not for the outcome, but for yourself.
It's like I enjoyed the process. And I think that's the thing is like when you put your heart into something and you're just like, I love this. And the energy of how I created this was, peaceful and happy. And then you put that out into the world. It's almost like if you make the analogy with like a chef, if they like cook something with love, it will show in the food. Or if a mother cooks something, but if she's if a parent is stressed, they're like quickly just push it out. It will show in the food. So I think, and that's also something I want to practice more is just like, again, let go and let God, like put your love into the process and then just put it out, but then don't look at how it performs. And when you look at your own consumption behavior, it's like, if you consume a piece of content, it's something in it will resonate with your heart in a way. If I like a piece of content, it's because it touched me in a certain way. And at the end of the day, I think that's what we're all aiming for. Is like, how can you share your heart and then have it touch other people's heart?
Love that. Was there because you currently inspire so many other women, do you hear from them? Do you hear their feedback on you? Have you changed a few lives here and there without realizing it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But what's fun is that oftentimes you don't realize the impact that you have, and it's people after the fact. They'll come to you and they'll be like, you inspired me. I had like one person, this was when I was like having like no more faith in relationships, and I was like, I'll never find a good healthy relationship. Like I have no faith in it. But then it was like there was a couple that I really admired from a distance, and I was just like, oh, it's like so healthy, their relationship. I love, like, she's so strong and he's so supportive of her. And then the individual, we met at this convention, and the individual came up to me because we're all like acquaintances. We've known each other. So she had a pretty large following. He's like, oh, you inspired me to come to Thailand, like your content. And this is where I met the love of my life. It was because like I saw your content about training in Thailand. I thought it was really good. And then I was like, holy shit, like my Instagram content like inspired like one of my favorite online couples. Like it's just like things that is like butterfly effect, things that you don't even realize are positively like impacting. But then also I think that's the thing is like if you are spreading bad energy, like that will also permeate as well. For sure. I remember when I was again in my early 20s, like I was struggling a lot with like relationship. I had like an abusive boyfriend and I shared about it, but it attracted other people in abusive relationships too, who were in unhealthy relationships and whatever. So I think it's like the journey of doing internal healing is so important because you will magnetize to you whatever you're putting out. it's really fascinating.
Absolutely,
Yeah, but
yeah.
again, it's like you don't just simply by sharing your heart out there.
I love
I
it.
think you will
But
impact people that you don't even
it
realize.
takes courage, though. You know, it's easy to show when you have this shiny life, when everything is
Yeah.
going beautiful. But then when you're at the bottom, when it's super hard, when you don't want to show up for yourself, even less for others, that's the tough part, right?
Yeah.
So it takes a
Yeah.
lot of courage to be as vulnerable as you are. And I fully can imagine and appreciate why you've actually built your community, because you show as your authentic self, you know? And
Yeah.
you
Although
show your
I
heart.
kind of I have gone in the wrong direction. So this is like a word of warning that I want to, when I was younger, if I was struggling mentally, I would share it all online.
Okay.
And now I think that when you're in the middle of going through something difficult, I mean, I don't think that you should also like pretend that everything's fine. You can be like, "Hey, I'm going through something."
Yeah.
But just from my experience, the internet is not going to be able to help you. The internet is instead going to be triggered by whatever you're sharing, like if you're dealing with abuse, if you're dealing, and then they're going to instead like tell you what you should do with your life. And ultimately, it's like people on the internet don't know your situation. And so everyone giving their advice for what you should do should not influence you. It's like, I think just from my own experience of like, I think it's good to be vulnerable, but when you're in the middle of something, the best thing that can be of benefit to you is to like get quiet. If you have a trusted therapist that you can work with, like that has been helping you a lot, then like, you know, talking with your therapist, you know, taking time by yourself to like listen to your intuition and what is the right thing. And then when you're out of it and you've processed it, I think this is when it's really beneficial to share your story too.
Yeah, that's a great advice. I
Yeah.
haven't thought through it. Yeah. I always thought, oh, just be authentic and vulnerable, but you're totally right, because I've also had a few content pieces go fully viral and it went through the roof with all the comments. And I can imagine if I was at a bad place, like just mentally, this would have probably taken me down fully, because it was, of course, 99% of the comments, they were negative, as you can imagine, because it was a reel got viral by mistake or by chance, not because I'm fully positioned in that, like I haven't built proper community yet. And I was like, so if it was not me as the person I am, super strong, and like this can't touch me, because who the hell are you? You're somebody from somewhere.
And you're just like,
deciding to-
it's out of context, guys.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, why do you even care that much? But I can imagine if you don't have this mental capacity and emotional capacity as well to handle that well, I can imagine it can end up very, very negatively for you, taking others people's opinions about yourself that are not true. Like they don't reflect who you really are, but it's just so much of them that you're starting, oh, wow.
Yeah, it's so important to know yourself too. Because the thing is, like, if you receive criticism online, but you fundamentally know what you stand for and what your values are, you can see a negative comment and then be immediately like, okay, that person is getting triggered by something, my appearance, you know, something that I'm sharing, and then they are projecting their own pain, you know, because every person's criticism is a projection of their own pain.
Fully.
And what I've said before, like, is like, if something hurts you and you're just like, ow, that is because it's something that you secretly criticize yourself for.
Because they might be, they've hid somewhere a small truth about
Yeah.
yourself, or a belief that you have about yourself.
Yeah. And then that's where you're like, fuck, okay, like I probably need to do some inner work at this point, because maybe it's like it's a very disempowering belief that I have about myself, and it's not healthy for me to tell this story.
Absolutely.
And so then then that's when it's a sign for you to be like, okay, this comment has negatively affected me, it's hurt me, but this has more to say about myself. And where I stand with myself.
Yeah, very on point. Yeah. I have so many questions, but I'm going to try to bring it in a direction. I would love to continue the conversation with you. So I know that you want to scale now, right?
Yes.
What's going on for you now? Are you happy with where you are currently with your business, with your life? And what's kind of the next step for you?
So right now it's very interesting because I am in a transition phase. So how I became famous on the internet was personal branding, like positioning myself as kind of a girl in Thailand learning Muay Thai and then practicing what she was learning by fighting. But even ever since I started, I knew that I didn't want to become a professional fighter. I've been around professional fighters, and I know how much sacrifice it takes to be one. And like from the get-go, I knew like that's not what my purpose was. So right now I feel like it's a very interesting time for me because I've moved to Bali, and I've been known as an online identity, as someone who's very involved in martial arts. And through this rebranding, I will lose like a large audience. It was the same when I left coding, the coding niche. It was just like all the audience that was interested in coding, they're like, you're no longer in a topic that I'm interested in. And so there will be this almost like a shedding of an old self, and then picking up and creating a new self that people might not resonate with.
But which self is that? Where do you want to bring it?
Oh, okay. So where I want to head is so from the get-go, I've always loved storytelling so much. And I think that what has been the pillar is I love the idea of getting to live adventures and going on like quests, and where you're like, you have an objective, you want to learn something, but it's all, again, like if I think about my favorite TV series, like the main character, oftentimes it's like these Japanese like anime where it's like they go on this quest, they want to achieve something, but it's not, at the end, it's not about the end goal. It's, look at Pokemon. I would become the best Pokemon trainer. It's the friends that you make along the way. It's the adventures. It's kind of like the life lessons that you learn through it.
So
yeah. And for me, it's like I've always loved that storytelling aspect of it. And that's something that I want to dive deeper into. I want to figure out how to share more of my heart. But then also, like, what's so fun about the entrepreneurship journey is that how I define entrepreneurship is learning how to create systems and how to create a machine that like earns income. So how it earns income is you are like benefiting a certain individual in a certain way. You're helping others. It's externally focused. But then through entrepreneurship is you're creating systems. You hire people that will follow your systems, and it just becomes like a machine that works. It's not you by yourself. And I think like that journey of figuring out how to do that is really fascinating to me, because I wouldn't consider myself like a business person, because I haven't been involved in corporate. I've been like, my journey has been very unorthodox, and it's all been through kind of like trial and error and be like, I think I'm going to go do this. But I think like the world of business is really fascinating, because like when I look at the people whose lives I admire the most, it's entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs at the end of the day have the most freedom, and they've also learned the skill of delegation, of learning how to create a system, of learning how to mobilize people to all pursue and create something. It's like, how I see entrepreneurs is like they have a vision for something that they want in the world, and then they know how to like set things in place to make that vision come into fruition. Something that doesn't exist, whether it was a restaurant that they dreamed of creating, whether it's, just something for you, like the speaking event, the networking event. It's like that did not exist. And then through the idea in your head, you will it into creation. I think that's so fascinating. So that I want to like share more of that world now. And for me, it's still figuring it out, because like I created for martial arts, I knew which after a period of time of just reiteration, you end up knowing which content performs well. You're like, okay, this system works well. But now I'm just like, this is not the audience that I want to build. This is not the direction I want to go. So I think right now I'm still figuring out what is my new voice. What are the pieces of content, short form, but now I want to do more long form as well, that will resonate, and where it's a win-win-win for everyone. Like the people consuming, it's a win for like the businesses. So yeah, I'm still in the figuring out phase right now. Yeah,
I love it. Well, isn't this how you've done it so far every time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you said I haven't been corporate, I haven't done that, but I think that's even more courageous and even more like to be respected, because what we tend to do is just follow some steps that worked for somebody, right? But you're like, okay, I have no idea how to code. I'm going to learn how to code. I have no idea how to become a nomad. I'm just going to figure it out. I'm going to move to Thailand, you know. And then next step, okay, well, now I've put it into place. System works. I'm going to build the next system. And I actually think it's very fascinating that you're thinking, okay, I'm going to put system 1 in place. Okay, it's working. Then I'm going to put system 2 in place and then keep on building the systems. And I think you might not have the typical entrepreneur background or you don't consider yourself as a business person. But if you think about it, what you've done till now is very entrepreneurial and very business oriented because through your whole journey, you've made money to sustain yourself.
It's all problem solving.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
kind of like,
So you somebody told you, I need a website. So you delivered the service. Oh, I need content. Oh, you delivered the service. I need that. Oh, you delivered that. So if that's not entrepreneurship, then I don't know what it is then.
And the thing for me is like, it's always been very lifestyle focused. So for example, when you're delivering services for people, you're just like, do I feel fulfilled by this? Because I think that is kind of like the luxury that maybe we have these days that other people don't have is you have the luxury of being like, does this make me happy? Does it not? Like if I look at my mother's, like, you know, like her story, you know, it comes from a privileged place to be like, this doesn't fulfill me, so I'm not going to do it. And yeah, I think like all my decisions has always been like, does this actually make me happy?
I love that.
No. Okay. What does make me happy then? Existential crisis.
So the question I have now is, are you enough now? Have you proven yourself enough to your family, to yourself?
So it's not about being enough. That's the thing that I realized, because that constant battle.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, am I enough? Good enough? Am I not bad enough? It's not about that. And that's kind of like, it's because it's a washing machine churn. Like if you get into it, it's just a constant like spinning on the hamster wheel. Whereas I think the biggest gift that you can give, for example, like this thing is like, am I enough for my family? It's like at the end of the day, when you think about it, your family doesn't give a fuck. Like, are you good enough? Or are you not bad enough? Like if I think about
that's
like,
why I'm asking.
Yeah, like
they don't even know that you're going through that journey for yourself.
Yeah,
right?
And it seems so obvious now, like after the fact, once you've done the inner work, you're just like why would you even give a fuck about that? It's like for the parent or like your family member, it's like your presence, you know, like your
Spending
love,
time with
your
them,
peacefulness.
whether you're happy.
Yeah, like that is what's like, if they see that you're at peace and they see that you're happy, and again, all of this comes from you know, is of course changing your external circumstances, that does help, but I feel like that's 50%. It's like the other 50% is the inner work of being like, why am I the way I am? You know, oftentimes I think there's a really interesting book that is Power versus Force, but they talk about the concept is like all humans are basically happy. We're inherently at like a regular by default we're happy, but it's all these negative stories, it's like the anxiety, the fears, and all these things that build up that prevent you from feeling your base your base default happiness setting. And this belief system that you're by default happy, I think is very empowering, because at the end of the day you'll believe whatever story that you told yourself. And for a long time I was like, oh, by default we're just unhappy people, because it's like you wouldn't survive if you were not happy. You just have to always figure out what's wrong with the world so you know you don't die. So if you believe like people by default are unhappy, then you'll manifest that. But yeah, I just love this new thought concept, because basically then the thing is like, okay, in order to reach my default level of happiness again, what I need to do is to clear up, like, why am I feeling anxiety? Why am I feeling fear? And to clear that, to be like, you're safe, you know? Constantly for me, I realized that feeling unsafe motivated a huge part of like everything that I did. When my parents divorced, like things felt very unstable. Like at one point I wouldn't say we were homeless, but we were living at like the school dormitory. My mother became a dorm parent. Okay. And at that point I thought like, my father had bankrupted our family and I thought we were broke. And I was just like, shit, we don't even have a home. Like, and so all these stories that I told myself was, I was just like, we are so unsafe. I am so unsafe and I'm so unworthy too. And yeah, again, now I think like, yeah, just constantly finding things that make me feel safe is like very important for me.
Do you
too.
think all these stories and thoughts you've had of yourself are the reason why you also had unsuitable, unhealthy relationships?
100%. Yeah. At the end of the day, I think that people will disrespect you, but if you respect yourself, the moment someone disrespects you, then you'll be like, hey, I don't accept this. You know, like, please stay away from me. You know, we can, not be around. But the thing is, if you don't have self-respect, if you're self-critical, which I was very self-critical. If someone from my outside world criticized me, it would just match my internal narrative. And so for me, I accepted bad treatment because
you believe
because I like kind of hated myself too. And so I magnetized someone who was unkind to me because even their unkindness did not match my inner unkindness toward myself. Yeah, so I 100% magnetize like the unhealthy relationships.
And I'm so happy that that's done. Because as far as I know, you're in a beautiful relationship.
Oh my God,
today.
I'm so grateful. It's like, it's so, it's crazy because, because like having come from a bad relationship, I didn't even know what a healthy relationship looked like. So now,
So it just reflects the work you've done on your own. You said it so many times. When you feel a certain way about yourself, that's what you project on the outside. And how do you expect, if you don't treat yourself well, how do you expect somebody else to
And you
do
have to
that?
constantly keep it up. You have to constantly do the work of being like, I respect myself and I don't accept disrespect. And when someone does disrespect you, again, you don't have to attack. You don't have to like be mad, but you can also set a boundary and be like, I don't accept this kind of treatment, and if this continues, then I will leave. Because I feel safe in myself.
I love that. I'm so happy that you are at a way better place, because I know that last year you were struggling with lots of things, and
I needed it actually. I think it was so interesting. Like I was talking how I was like, actually the person that I am today, I actually kind of needed that mental breakdown in order to become who I am, because it was just such a massive wake-up call. And then the girlfriend that I was talking to was like, oh, I wonder if she's like, maybe I need a mental breakdown too. I was like, maybe it's incoming, like the moment of the phoenix rising from the ashes. And I was just like, fuck, like I don't want to encourage mental breakdown because it's horrible. Like it almost destroys you essentially. And I don't think you need one. I think it's because like I didn't believe in inner work. I didn't believe in therapy. I didn't really like, but I think it's like, if you start proactively doing things, you don't need a mental breakdown to be a wake-up call.
If you think about us as humans, we take action first when the pain is so big. So until then, you're pretty much, no, I'm okay. And as we spoke about it, we just brush it under the carpet. However, what I do think is, maybe you don't think of mental breakdown, but you do need all the phases and the journeys and the people you meet along, because they teach you about yourself as well. And as hard as it is when you go through the situations, like if I go back also through my life, I'm like, did I really need this kind of, behavior or relationship or whatsoever? Well, the answer is simply yes, because I deserved what I got, because that was who I was at this stage of my life. And as much as it was not beautiful when I went through it, I wouldn't be who I am now. So maybe it's not a mental breakdown. Maybe it's whatever kind of relationship, situation, or whatsoever. But I think that these milestones or these steps make us who we 100%. End up being, and continue to evolve, by the way, because if we stop, then
and I also think it's like, even though pain is horrible and it's like the things that we go through, but I think like pain, whatever form of pain, is also what gives you compassion too.
And I would say so many other things as well. Like,
Because when I think about the times where my heart goes out to like anybody, it's because I have experienced a similar level of pain. And so then you're just like, that poor individual, like they're suffering. And so for me, it's like the pain of like being in an abusive relationship, the pain of kind of wait, what was it? Yeah, the depression, like massive depression. It's if I see someone struggling with that, it's just like your heart goes out because you know to a certain extent. Yeah. And I think that's like what connects you. It's pain that connects people more than pride, or I don't know what's the opposite, pleasure. So deeply.
Yeah. I think this might be a good question to ask you. If we have somebody listening today, tomorrow, any day, and they struggle with depression, what would be your main advice for this person?
It's again, it's such a horrible place to be when you're in the middle of depression, because like if you're in the middle of it, it's, at least for me, my experience is like I feel very lethargic and I feel like my brain is in mush, like I can't think. I feel like there are maybe some like chemical changes in the brain when you're in the middle. It's just, it doesn't fire as clearly. And just in if I'm like deep in it, I can't even get myself out. Like it's like I've like lost my personality. And that's where you need like a life raft. And so what has helped me in my most, because before I would say, oh, like sunshine, exercise, but then now I realize it's like when you're in the thick of it, it's like you don't even have the energy to do that. And what has saved me is, again, like having people who care about me, who are there for me. That's like so important. I'm so grateful. Like
so reach out.
Well, again, I think it's like this is that point where it's like you have like a partner who really cares for you and family members, but a trained therapist who is good, because again, not it's the same with like personal trainers. It's like not everyone is created equal. So even like proactively, if you know you have a proclivity for depression, so now I have like a go-to therapist that I'm just like, oh, if I had an emergency, I would immediately be like, I have an emergency, can I sit with you? Because what helped me get out of my worst like 6-month depression was I at that point I was actually like nonverbal. I couldn't speak and I couldn't even really like move. I would just sit curled up, and I was like addicted to YouTube, so I was just like consuming media and trying to numb myself. And the therapist at first was like, okay, right now we're gonna actually he was like so encouraging. He was like, I'm so glad you're here. He normalized it, and it was just like, this is so great, you've done so good to just show up here. I didn't want to go there. It was like my mom who forced me. And then he was like, we're just gonna focus on one small win. We're gonna, right now you're going to sleep and waking up with your phone and just like just consuming it. How about we just try putting the phone away downstairs and going to bed without that, and then and just focus on that. You don't have to try to do anything else, and then we'll see each other next week. And so it's like he had me take small actions that got me back to the speaking stage where I could like talk again. And then when I was able to like almost be back to normal, then we started like
the next
diving into just like then he then it was just like he was asking me questions, and he's just like, you believe that if you're not productive, you're not worth anything. Like you have a strong belief system that you have no value if you don't take action. And he's like, that's very unhealthy. So I think for people in the middle of depression, again, having a really good therapist who can take you step by step and almost coach you out of it, and then once you're in a good, like better, healthier space, then understand what got you into that place in the first place. And then once you're in a healthy place, healthy food, whole foods, not junk food, because I do think like what you consume affects your organism. Exercise, like sunlight, all of the basic outer things that you can control.
That we keep on hearing and we still avoid as if they're the bad things.
Again, because I think it's like oftentimes if you're unhappy, the times where my depression got worse was because I was actually unhappy about something, and it was like my body trying to tell me like something is wrong, but I was in denial. And I was just like, And
How
then,
can it be
yeah,
wrong? But
and then,
everything seems
yeah,
so good.
exactly. And then I would punish myself. I'd be like, you have it so good. You know, you've got everything you wanted. Why are
Yeah.
you still unhappy? And so I would be in denial, being like punishing myself for not feeling good. When in reality, it was like in the times before I was like actually in a very toxic relationship. It was just unhealthy. It was, you know, creating a bad version of myself and a bad version of my partner. And my body was literally shutting down, telling me like, you should not be here. You should not. And I wasn't listening to my body. I was really out of touch. And I think now in the future, if my body starts shutting down, like something starts happening, that's where I need to take a pause and be like, my body has this wisdom that I'm not even aware of, and it's trying to tell me something. There is an insight that is like trying to come out. And instead of numbing, which is what prolongs depression, so like numbing through food, some people through alcohol, through consuming just media compulsively, you're trying to avoid what your body is telling you. That's my current standing theory for like mental health.
Yeah, no, I loved it and I appreciate it. And thank you so much that you're open in sharing so openly everything you've been through, because it seems like a lot. And I'm very, very happy you're at a better place and hope that this continues throughout. I have 5 questions for you that I'm going to ask all of my members, but since they are kind of deep and I want you not to get into overthinking mode, I give you 5 minutes. So you
Okay.
have per question 1 minute.
Okay.
And
All
the
right.
first one is, what's the boldest move you've made that no one really knows about?
Ooh. Constantly reinventing myself. Letting go of one identity and then moving on to the next, even though one identity is already celebrated, but just following your own intuition and trusting your intuition is going to guide you. Yeah.
So good. Going on to the next one then. What's one thing you're proud of that rarely gets acknowledged?
Oh, I love these questions. You have to think about it. I think these days what I'm proud of is actually pausing, and again it circles back listening to my intuition and taking more time for myself. And none of that, because that doesn't show online at all. This is like just things that I do in the quiet, and even like people don't see it, but taking that time to sit with myself, it's doesn't look fancy. It's just me, you know, being with a journal, but actually having that space will allow me to make way better decisions that will positively impact myself and, you know, the people around me, because everything that I decide on will be aligned based off of, you know, what is intuitively right for me. And I'm quite proud of that. And I need to do more of it. Because again, I'm just like, oh, I just feel like watching YouTube videos.
Well, it's the hard stuff or for the pleasure. So you need to show up for the hard things when you can just be being hit by dopamine.
Yeah.
My third question for you. What matters most to you at this stage of your life?
I love these questions. Oh my God, I'm so excited to hear everyone else's responses. What matters most to me at this stage in my life is making, again, I think it's because the book that I read recently, it's called Power versus Force, where it's like where you can make decisions from a place of fear or place of love or, you know, lower energy, is I want to make decisions, more and more decisions from a place of love, which is, you know, it's like easier said than done, because I think it's like in order to make the decision from like a high energy place, you have to clear out all of the lower energy, so like your fear, your anxieties, and then also you don't want to become have a paralysis analysis too, so you can be like, okay, even if I have fear, I will move forward. But again, I think most important for me is, again, all of these questions all tie together with like the current phase of life that I'm in, where I was like, I want to trust my intuition more and more. But in order to trust my intuition, I have to develop the discipline of pausing and not reacting.
I love that. And it's so easy to just blame it on the current emotion or state we are in and just be reacting. Oh, no, I'm angry and I'm going to answer this way or behave this way. Over, okay, I'm going to sit with it, see what's going on for me actually, and then decide to handle.
But then also it's not just that. It's also like, oh, I'm going to work extremely hard to reach a certain income level because I fundamentally don't feel like I'm good enough and I need to prove myself to all my haters or, you know, something like that. Like
over
that,
the other side.
Yeah.
Because
or
I
just
want to
like,
afford that or have the freedom or whatsoever.
Yeah. Or like, I'm going to sell this person on this thing because I want this because I'm afraid of like not having enough money. And then you're just versus like, I want to serve people and I want to like genuinely, you know, like positively impact their life, but you have to do that from a place of feeling safe.
Oh, I know. I've literally picked the right guest for this first episode. I love it so much. My last question from the combo questions. What are you most proud of in your life?
I think what I'm proudest of is when I was younger, I wanted to be an author and I wanted to write fiction. And I feel like right now it's the story that I'm writing and that I think everyone should write is their own story. Because at the end of the day, it's like you only live that one life. And I think living a life that is true to myself, just like everyone else should live a life that is true to themselves, not like the expectations of parents, not the expectations of society. I think that is what I will feel the proudest of at the end of the day, is kind of just learning how to live your truth. But even that process of knowing yourself is a journey. Because for such a large portion of my life, it has been running away from myself. Partially living your truth, but yeah. Was that the question? Yeah. It's like these are like deep questions, so I'm just like, and that's off the top of my head, what's like
that's like it. Because each question can be, if you think about it, an own podcast episode, and that's why I really want to just grab the first thing that sparks in your head.
Yeah, I love that, because even as you ask me these questions, it's giving me more clarity on what phase of life I'm in, and I'm like, intuition. That's the thing that I keep on circling back to. It's like, this is the chapter of intuition, of just being like, I'm not going to listen to what anyone else tells me. Like, again, like, advice helps, but your intuition is the wisest, you know, decision maker for yourself. And for the longest time I was always just like looking outside,
and it's all in here, right?
But then that's what's, I think, is fascinating, because like your decisions might not make sense to anybody else, but you will intuitively know if it's the right step or the wrong step. But also you have to take the time for that silence to get in touch with your intuition, because above that intuition is the reactive mode of just like, what will make me feel good right now? So taking that extra like 1 minute to sink lower.
I love that.
Yeah, still work in progress. I'll let you know.
Well, I hope that I'm going to have you again when this podcast is extremely expensive, I want to say. Okay, I'm going to monetize that. No, extremely successful, and when you're probably in a completely different chapter of your life.
I hope so. I love that you're doing this. I'm so happy about it.
You.
I hope it all worked. Yeah. Like,
before I have a closing question.
Okay.
So is there anything else you would like to share before I ask it?
I'm very happy with this podcast. I really like again, I feel like there's so much more that we could talk about around like masculine and feminine dynamics, but just like this is like, I feel like this is a good conclusion to like the theme.
I feel like too, yeah. Well, my final question is, and I'm gonna be asking it to all my guests, is what advice or piece of advice do you have for women who know that there's more for them, but they're feeling stuck?
Again, I think like it's a case by case basis, because every person's situation is unique.
Yeah.
but this circles back to everything that I talked about. Your intuition will always know. But if you are so caught up in constantly like moving forwards, because I think that was what I was guilty of, is I thought that I could outwork my inner issues, my inner work. And I was like, if I just work harder, then I'll be good enough. It was just, and I think your at the end of the day, you will know you will know what is the most important next step for you, and actually taking the time to get quiet. Again, I don't know if my journaling exercise will work for anyone else. I love like creating a lower self and higher self, and then like, you know, almost creating like a parent or like an older, wiser sister and like younger sister relationship dynamic. And it's like every time that I use that journaling exercise, I intuitively know what I need to do.
So pretty much go back to yourself, start listening to what's happening inside.
Yeah.
And act based on what your intuition tells you.
Yeah. And then something that didn't work for me before is when I was younger, I did a lot of journaling, but it only came from like the lower self. I was just journaling all my angst and being like, oh, like I hate myself so much. And I didn't create the space to create a wiser personality. So almost like my journaling was just, I was just caught up in like the lower vibration states. And I think actually doing the thought exercise of creating like a wise like Yoda character, and then asking that person questions will allow you to access wiser parts of yourself that you don't even know exist. But I don't know. This is just what's working for me right now. Yeah, it sounds really woofy-floofy. But
no, I think for people who already have been doing some work with themselves, they fully know the fluffy things you're talking about. They're not just
again, like some people are like very much like about the woo, and I'm a very practical person, so it's like I'm very skeptical. So even for me, it's like it has to almost like, honestly, if there's like some kind of like scientific basis or like, you know, so yeah, again, a little bit of that I think is very helpful.
Julia, thank you so very much for this conversation. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you. Yeah. I feel like we can keep on talking forever, but let's wrap it up for now and promise to each other that we're gonna see each other again.
I loved it. It was so great. Yay! You did it. And plus we had that moment where it almost didn't happen.
Yeah.
Where it was like so
true.
Many technical issues, and then like, you pushed through. It was like that peak. So
thank you so much for pushing through with me as well. And
it's so great. You're doing so great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Love the conversation. Seriously.
Me too. Yeah.